If you guys have followed this channel for kind of any amount of time, then you will know that for a really long time I struggled with studio lighting. It was something that I just couldn't get to grips with. And the first thing that kind of really allowed me to foray into artificial lighting was using constant light. And from learning with constant light, I then built up my kind of confidence with using flash and strobe photography. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about a product that I've been sent by Neewer. I've actually been using on location, but it is a strobe. I wanted to talk about how you can use a flash in the daylight to really simply create drama within your portrait photography. So without saying much more, let's get into the video. We're going to go through 2 shoots that I did and talk about how I used this light in particular, how I used this flash within these shoots. So for the first shoot, it was a really sunny day, and what I wanted to do here was experiment with how you could use a flash on a day where you don't really need a flash because you've got plenty of harsh, strong sunlight. The main thing I wanted to experiment with here was the idea of having light coming from 2 different sources outside and kind of creating an ethereal kind of look, because of course when we're outside we know that the light source is the sun, right? That is what you expect when you see an image. So when you suddenly have this other light source that is contrasting or coming from a different direction, it creates somewhat of a surreal, dramatic feel to the image. So for the first set of images, I wanted to experiment with using the sun as a backlight and using this flash as a fill light.
Nice. I think a minute ago when you had like your hands like up in your hair, like that looked really cool. So let's do a couple more like that. The light on the back of your head, like where the sun is actually lovely. It looks really nice. Nice.
So this is the Neewer Q200. This is the light that I was talking about. And it's actually great for doing this kind of run and gun style of photography because it's actually really small. It's really light, it's very carryable. You'll see in the B-roll there is a carry case that is fully kitted out and it's really modular. So I was using this with this bit, which is basically the bit that goes on top of the light stand. You could use this handheld. I did use it handheld in a few variations, and also when I had an assistant on the second shoot we'll be talking about, I had someone actually just holding it and moving it. But for these looks, I had it on a light stand. But my point is actually this little light stand adapter thing that comes with it. There is a little hole at the top up here, which is able to fit through an umbrella. And for me, that was the most portable way to use this light in a way that didn't kind of like bulk out the setup. So I used it with an umbrella through this little hole and was able to create a really soft fill light using the sun as a backlight. And then I wanted to switch it around a bit, to use the sun as the key light and then use this light as a backlight or a side light to create that rim halo effect on the model.
Come this way a tiny bit for me. No, sorry, come back this way, kind of like in line with this line. Yeah, perfect.
So after this first shoot where I was literally just testing out the light, I then took it onto another shoot and had in my mind that I wanted to create some more dramatic imagery. And I wanted to do this by removing the umbrella altogether and just using it as a bare bulb, really as a harsh light. So the great thing about this light is that you can use it manually, but you can also use it in TTL, which is through the lens, and it's essentially auto. So essentially how TTL works is it's going to help you reach your optimal exposure level. So if your camera settings have already basically hit your optimal exposure, which you can obviously set, then the light doesn't need to emit as much power, so it doesn't. If you're underexposing on your camera, then the light uses more power to achieve that middle exposure. So for this shoot, it was a really cloudy day, but the sun was still out. It was still light. I'll put up some photos of the natural light photos that I took so you can see how bright it was. I wanted to create like some really harsh, direct lighting, get some shadows up in the images. And so for that, I essentially underexpose the image in my camera so that the light would emit more power and create a harsh, more dramatic display of light.
Yeah, it's nice. I don't know why I chose to shoot on a hill. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, nice.
It was really fun to use the light in this way, as it's not something that I do very often. A lot of my work is very natural, it's very realistic to skin tones, to lighting scenarios. So to use this light to create more surreal and dramatic imagery was a really fun experiment. On this shoot we then headed to like a bit of a undercover bit which was much darker, so I could use it in a darker scenario. And for these I basically got Josh, who is a good friend and amazing photographer who was with me for this shoot. I got him to basically just move the light around and hand hold it. Again, I'll pop up on screen the natural light and the flash photos.
Yeah, nice. Kind of like, can you lean on that? Like if you kind of like lean down a bit, or is it a bit?
It's a bit okay.
Maybe sit in your hand, like put your, yeah. Yeah, perfect, cool. Let me keep moving this. Even like step further to the wall, and again, and then a little bit this way. You won't be in shoulder, right? Yeah, and then point it down a little bit more. Yeah, perfect. Yes, I want you to look in that direction for me. Thank you. Yeah, we're good. Lovely.
Other than these two instances where I've used the flash outdoors in the daylight, which is something that you wouldn't maybe always equate with using a flash, I've also used this as a fill light in the studio. I used it recently in a studio shoot where the client had only booked one light in the studio, but I had this in my bag, so I was able to use this with the umbrella as a fill light. And Carey, who is another amazing photographer who's been assisting me recently, she was able to hold the light and direct it. We were using this as a fill light, but we were using this to trigger the other light, which was the overhead key light. This is coming really handy for me as of late. So thank you to Neewer for sending it through and letting me test it out. I'm definitely looking forward to kind of testing it in some different scenarios. I have in my head an idea of doing a shoot outside, which I'm not going to say too much about because I want to document it on the channel, of course, when I actually get around to doing it at night and seeing how it performs in that scenario. But in terms of kind of creating drama, where it'd be very easy just to use natural light to create kind of more natural images, I've really enjoyed using this. I'll credit the entire team in the description, from Carey on behind the scenes, Josh on assisting, both of the models, and of course I will link the Neewer light in the description if you guys are interested in getting your hands on it. But thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one.